Okay, it's that time of year again for making resolutions or not. Starting afresh and setting goals seems to make sense when the year begins.
But why is it so hard to stick to our promises to ourselves, and are they in fact worthwhile doing it all? Well, Craig Harper is an author, coach and motivational speaker, and he joins us now in the studio. Great to have you with us, Craig.
Hi guys, thanks for having me.
It's a good resolution for you to get up this early.
Well, I did my very best. See, I'm committed. I'm not just motivated, I'm committed, and that's an important part of it.
And I was confessing to Paul earlier that I spent many years in my youth giving up chocolate every year and failing miserably within a day or so.
It's a common cycle.
Why do we do it?
Well, I think because the idea of changing a habit or a behaviour is not the same as the reality of it. Like we all, you know, if I do a presentation, I say, who wants to be fitter, leaner, lighter, stronger, healthier, happier, sexier? Everyone goes me, right?
Yeah.
Because we all want that. But then, you know, beyond that is all the practical stuff that we need to do. So we've got to make different decisions, embrace new behaviours, we've got to get uncomfortable, we've got to follow through. And also the thing is with resolutions, we get motivated, then we get demotivated. So once the enthusiasm and the excitement and the emotional state of motivation subsides, usually so do the behaviours. And when the behaviours go, then the results go.
So, but motivation is good things. So how do you make the most of it and then make sure you can sort of make the changes that you really want to make?
Yeah, motivation's a great starting point, but we all go through peaks and troughs. So if you only do what you need to do to create the change you want to create when you're motivated, you'll never get there because no one's motivated forever, you know, 24/7. So what we need beyond that is, you know, we need structure, we need support, we need a bit of organisation and accountability. So like, for example, you clean your teeth every day, not because you're excited or motivated, but because it's a non-negotiable behaviour. It's just something that you do. You don't get up and think, will I clean my teeth? Or no, I can't be bothered, I'll start Monday, because Monday's the stuff starting day. And so too, you know, interestingly, most people who start resolutions on January 1 fail. And it's not because they don't have the ability or the potential, or it's not because they don't have the need. It's because whether or not you fail or succeed at creating real change in your world has got nothing to do with the day on the calendar.
And that's the point.
Nothing.
So why do we have this construct of January the 1st as a way of probably re-energising us and remotivating us?
Well, it's just a thing we've always done, and we go, oh, it's a new beginning, it's the start of the year, and that's great. And it will work if you are genuinely prepared to do the things that are required from then, not just for the first week or two when you're a bit excited and the sun's out and you're not at work. So, yes, it is, you're right, you know, milk that motivation when it's there, use it as a genesis for the change process, but realise that beyond that, sometimes the things that you need to do to create lasting shift are not necessarily quick, easy, fun or comfortable. So when someone comes to me, I'm an exercise scientist, right? So when someone comes to me and says, you know, I want to lose this 40 kilos and it's taken them 25 years to put on, you're not going to lose it by next Tuesday, right? Yeah. But that's what we want. We're the instant gratification society. So you've got to kind of be positive, be optimistic, but also be realistic.
So real change takes how long?
You know,
to build in habits like you're talking about.
It depends on how long it's taken you to get there. It depends on what the habit is. But you can start to see physiological change quickly, right? But what really underlies all lasting physiological change, if we're talking about getting in shape in the new year, is psychological and emotional change. Like nobody accidentally eats a cheeseburger. Nobody accidentally eats chocolate. We all choose that. And so you need to go, all right, well, based on what I want to do, be and create, what needs to be a non-negotiable behaviour for me to live in alignment with my goals and my core values?
Let's talk about things that are less physical, and I like Paul's thought process earlier where he sort of reflects on the year, reflects on the family, how we're going, where we're going. Those seem to be more meaningful sort of reassessments that then perhaps factor in some of these other things, but they're less, I guess they're more organic.
Yeah. Well, I think, you know, all change starts with acknowledgement and awareness, and I think this is a great time of the year for us to hit the pause button and go, how's my life going? What's great about my life? What's not great about my life? You know, and that might be my spiritual life, might be my family, might be my relationships, the way I communicate and connect with my kids. It might be my big fat legs that I want to trim down, right? Some of it's superficial and some of it's physical and some of it's a little more deep and philosophical. But what is good about this time of the year is because we tend to be out of our routine, it gives us a level of perspective that we might not get when we're in the middle of it. Yeah.
Now, Craig, we'll just bring in Sherelle on this. I know you know Sherelle. Be nice.
I remember you. Didn't you used to be an athlete?
A long time ago, actually, sadly.
She used to be very good at setting goals, this one, in the corner.
She has a little bit of white line fever. She's lovely as pie off court, but on court a little bit of a terror. No, but the thing about Sherelle is somebody that has set goals and performed and milked her potential. You know, not a tall girl for an elite netballer, captain of the Australian team, arguably one of the best captains in one of the best teams in the world, and just an example of somebody who took a base of potential and talent and absolutely milked it and maximised everything.
Now that you're retired, you're going to go for the any New Year's resolutions, or?
Well, no New Year's resolutions necessarily, but I think the motivation thing's kind of an interesting one. And for me, for so much of my life, it's been about preparing to play at the elite level, and now I've kind of come out of that. Yeah. And I find that kind of motivation and the change in routine that a lot of people go through at different stages of their life quite interesting. What are the toughest times for people to actually commit? Is it often when there's change, or is that a good time?
Here's the thing, right? That's a real, and we could talk forever about this, but because when you are an elite netballer, kind of who you are is what you do. Or any elite athlete. And so there's a big sense of loss for a lot of athletes when they step away from their sport, because you started playing when you were, I don't know, 8 or 10, played through till you're, what are you, 64 now, so till you're about 55, right? And so there's a very long time when you are immersed in that, and then all of a sudden you go, oh, who am I now? So there is a period of kind of reflection and searching for people, and sometimes a real sense of loss.
And that's such a great point, because I think one of the hardest parts of change is breaking with that routine, breaking with what you know. This is what I do every day. I get up, I do this. And how do I sort of break that cycle and try and think afresh? It's a very, very difficult thing to do.
It is, because we get a sense of our identity from what we do. And sometimes, you know, which is why we often see men and women, but more so men, who get depressed, who fall into a depression when they stop working, because that was their sense of everything, and they don't know who they are once they hang up the boots.
So do you create new rituals like Sherelle's talking about?
Yeah, look, I think, what do we need? We all need meaning, purpose, connection, challenges, and doing TV. We were just having a quick chat off air, and I said, you're great at this. You know, and it's a new I think passion. You'll find people who their default setting is that they love challenges, whether or not it's netball or television, or whether or not it's doing a triathlon. People like Sherelle always find something to stimulate them and motivate them.
People like Paul and I, well, we've got no hope.
No.
But there's always a great excuse not to do it, isn't there? Like, people often, you know, they have that excuse. Often it's time.
Yeah.
Well, I think the thing is that quite often creating real change, it's inconvenient, it's not fun, and it's not comfortable. And we kind of wait for the perfect time. We go, it's not a good time now because, and then we wake up and we're 60 and we go, right. Yeah. You know, so it's a matter of being ready enough.
Yeah, some good pointers there. Time is a big thing, especially when you've got when the little kids come along. It's more excuses,
but
I
also,
guess.
I think too is also recognising that nothing is forever. You don't have to give. I mean, I suppose there are some big ticket items like smoking, and a lot of people out there would be wanting to try and do that because it's really bad for your health. You shouldn't do it. But other things you do, everything in moderation. Life is there to be lived. So if you don't, denial is a big and dangerous thing, I think, to try and do all the time.
And there's a lot of stuff around that about food, you know, and especially with the food thing. It's more about the relationship that we have with food rather than having a bit of chocolate or a pizza every now and then. A bit of chocolate pizza, fine. You know, 15 pizzas, not fine.
Yeah.
Craig, thank you so much. We really
Thanks for
appreciate you
having
coming
me.
in.